When examining gamification applications and platforms, one thing becomes clear, and that's the use of questions. In most gamified systems, the primary mechanism for engaging learners and assessing knowledge is through questions. Most structural gamification software uses a combination of question types, including multiple choice, true false, matching, select all that apply, and even ranking questions. If your organization does not write good questions or does not have a readily available question bank, implementing an off-the-shelf gamification platform is a time-consuming process because you need to have dozens and dozens of questions to have the gamified experience last over any significant amount of time. Additionally, you want to have the right kinds of questions so you aren't merely testing memorization, but also including questions that force the learner to apply and even evaluate information. Writing multiple choice questions beyond simply recalling information is possible, but they take time to craft, write, and validate. And in fact, some gamification platforms suggest multiple question types be applied to one learning objective. In these cases, the person setting up the gamified platform will be asked to write 3 questions per objective: a recall question, an application question, and an evaluation question. Let's quickly touch on the 3 question types. First is recall or memorization. In this case, the learner is asked to select or indicate that a definition, term, or acronym is correct. As a basic example, a learner might be asked, is the capital of the United States Washington, D.C.? It could be phrased as a true-false question or even a multiple choice question where the learner picks the right city from a longer list. Regardless, the thought process is the same. It's recall of a memorized piece of information, the capital of the United States. Memorization is foundational from a learning standpoint, but this type of question doesn't measure or reinforce true understanding or comprehension. Moving up a level in learner cognitive processing is the application question. With this type of question, the learner must recognize and recall the information at the root of the question and be able to apply it to a specific situation. It's a 2-step process. Scenario questions work well in this situation since the learner needs to be able to identify what in the scenario is the actual problem and then apply previous knowledge to solve that problem. Here is a sample application question. As an FDA auditor, you find that a certain dietary aid contains the same active ingredient, but in much smaller portions than an over-the-counter remedy. Furthermore, the ingredient is not listed on the label. What course of action should you take? In this instance, the learner needs to know what the Food and Drug Administration regulates and then how the FDA should react based on that knowledge. The learner needs to apply their knowledge of the FDA's jurisdiction over dietary supplements to this scenario. In this case, since the FDA does not have jurisdiction over dietary supplements, the correct answer is none. Dietary supplements are not covered by the FDA. The learner applies her knowledge of what the FDA regulates to answer this question and distinguish among the 4 possible choices. An even more sophisticated type of question is the evaluation question. This type of question asks the learner to make a judgment or evaluation of a situation, information, or content. For example, in an evaluation question, the learner would be presented with a graph of leading economic indicators and then asked, based on the economic indicators listed on this graph, which of the following would be a good product to launch in the next fiscal year? This would allow for determining how well the learner was able to evaluate the graph, understand the economic indicators on the graph, interpret the associated data, and make a prediction. It requires a good bit of cognitive processing to determine the correct answer. When creating questions for inclusion in a gamified platform, Make sure that in addition to presenting recall questions, you include application and evaluation questions. This will make the learner think and process the information and ultimately result in better learning outcomes.